What if I told you that in 2026, most people won't lose because they are weak, but because they are blind? Blind to the shift already happening beneath their feet, blind to the quiet tsunami that destroys those who don't see it coming. Welcome back to American Wall Street. Before we begin, make sure to subscribe so the channel has the strength to keep creating powerful videos like this. We are stepping into 2026, a year moving faster than logic, faster than your plans, faster than your expectations. A year where artificial intelligence is no longer a tool, it is a silent force operating 24 hours a day, rewriting the rules of work, wealth, and human value. A year where your refrigerator knows your habits, your car knows your patterns, and your phone knows your weaknesses. But the real shock is this. None of these things are the threat. The true danger is thinking that the world still rewards the same qualities it used to. There was a time when hard work alone could save your life, when waking up early and staying up late almost guaranteed a better future. Today, that era is gone. Hard work has become the baseline, a requirement, a minimum. In fact, the ant crawling on your kitchen floor is more disciplined than half of the people walking around complaining that life is unfair. And the system doesn't care about your effort anymore. It only cares about your evolution. This is the part people hate to hear. The world is no longer impressed by how much you sweat. Machines can work harder. Algorithms can work smarter. Automation can stay awake longer than you ever will. Your degree, your experience, your resume, none of them protect you from irrelevance. The real question of 26 is brutally simple. What can you do that a machine cannot replace? If you sit with that question long enough, it becomes terrifying and revealing, because under the noise and chaos of modern life, a quiet truth emerges. The future belongs to human skills, not mechanical habits. The future belongs to those who see what others miss, who adapt when others freeze, who stay calm when others collapse, and who act while others hesitate. This is why understanding 2026 is not optional. It is survival. The world is not slowing down for you. It is not waiting for you to feel ready. It is dragging you forward, willing or unwilling. And the gap between the prepared and the blind is becoming a canyon. Those who adapt will rise faster than any generation before them. Those who don't will disappear quietly into a world that no longer needs what they do. But here's the twist. The most important shifts of 2026 are not technological, they are psychological. The real revolution is happening inside people, not inside machines. You can see it in the way people consume information, the way they respond to pressure, the way they chase distractions instead of direction. The world isn't just changing. People are changing, and those changes are creating an environment where only those with the right human skills can thrive. This is why the next chapters we explore together are so important, because the people who win in 2026 will not be the ones who know the most, work the most, or even try the most. They will be the ones who evolve the most. The ones who recognize that the battlefield has shifted from muscle to mind, from routine to awareness, from force to insight. The ones who realize that survival is no longer about running faster, it is about seeing sooner. You're going to notice something unusual as we go deeper. The skills that matter most are not the ones you learned in school. They are not the ones your company praises. They are not the ones your friends think about. They are the skills that sit quietly in the background of every success story, unseen, underestimated, but absolutely decisive. And if you stay with me until the end of this series, you won't just understand the world ahead. You will know how to bend it in your favor. But before we move to the next part, I want you to reflect on a question that reveals a lot about how ready you really are for 2026. If the world suddenly changed tomorrow, Which version of you would survive? A. The version of you who waits for instructions. B. The version of you who creates the next move. Comment A or B below. Let's see who you truly are. Most people think opportunities disappear because they are rare. But in reality, opportunities disappear because people refuse to look at the world with their eyes open. In 2026, the greatest advantage you can develop is not your intelligence, not your education, not even your ambition. It is your ability to notice what the rest of the world walks past without a second thought. Wealth, in its purest form, is not created by genius. It is created by awareness. This is the skill almost no one talks about because it sounds too simple to matter. Yet simplicity is deceptive. If you look closely into every major success story, you will find one moment, one tiny moment, where someone paid attention while everyone else was distracted. Airbnb did not begin with an invention. It began with an observation so painfully obvious that millions of people ignored it. Hotels were full, homes were empty. That's it. A billion-dollar idea hiding in a sentence so boring you would almost fall asleep saying it. Crocs did not win because they were beautiful. They won because someone noticed a truth that people felt but never admitted. Comfort always beats appearance in the long run. And the man who created the seat gap blocker, the cheapest plastic you can imagine, did not need sophisticated thinking. He needed curiosity. Why does everyone keep dropping fries and coins in the same gap every single day? The answer created a business so profitable that veteran entrepreneurs called it ridiculous until they realized ridiculous is just another word for something I failed to see. This is the uncomfortable truth of opportunity. It rarely knocks loudly. Most of the time, it whispers. And most people are too busy scrolling, complaining, or chasing big dreams to hear the whisper of the small problem right in front of them. The future does not belong to people who chase brilliance. It belongs to people who notice patterns. People who pay attention to the frustration in someone's voice, the repeated behavior no one questions, the tiny inefficiency everyone tolerates because that's just how things are. Opportunity is not hidden behind complexity. It hides behind routine. You want to succeed in 2026? Slow down. Observe the world the way an outsider would. Become the kind of person who watches instead of assuming, who notices instead of dismissing, who listens instead of reacting. Ask simple questions that make complicated things fall apart. Why do people always complain about this? Why does this tiny annoyance keep happening? Why has no one solved this yet? Every one of those questions has the potential to reshape your destiny. The world today is obsessed with building the next big thing, the next global app, the next giant platform, the next groundbreaking technology. But the gold is never where the crowd is digging. The gold is in the quiet corners, the overlooked routines, the daily inconveniences no one has the patience to think about. In a world of overcomplication, simplicity becomes a competitive advantage. Machines can analyze data, predict behaviors, and optimize systems, but they cannot feel the irritation of a moment. They cannot experience the emotional sting of a problem. They cannot understand why losing a French fry between car seats feels more painful than losing a $10 bill. Only a human can see value in those moments. Only a human can turn an irritation into an industry. And that is why this skill becomes even more powerful in 2026. When the world rushes toward bigger, faster, more advanced, the person who sees opportunity in the small, the slow, and the ordinary becomes rare. And rarity in the marketplace is value. You do not need to be the smartest person in the room. You just need to be the person who is actually looking. Observation is not passive. It is strategic. It is the foundation of every innovation that changed the world. When you train your mind to notice the things people ignore, you begin to see the world through a different lens, not as it is, but as it could be. That difference is the birthplace of wealth. Not the kind of wealth built on luck or timing, but the kind of wealth built on clarity, curiosity, and attention. So here's the truth. Opportunity isn't disappearing. Opportunity is multiplying, but only for those who train their eyes to see what others miss. And in a world where machines dominate complexity, the greatest advantage you can ever have is the simplest one, your ability to notice. If you master that, the world will reveal riches you never knew were right in front of you. Most people assume communication is simply the act of speaking. They think words automatically create connection, that sentences automatically create understanding, that the louder or smarter they sound, the more influence they have. But in the real world, communication is not about speaking at all. It is about being heard. It is about creating a shift inside another human being, not with force, not with pressure, but with clarity, energy, and intention. And in 2026, when the world is drowning in noise, the rare skill is not the ability to talk more. It is the ability to talk in a way people cannot forget. Machines will write emails faster than you. AI will generate paragraphs in seconds. Algorithms will create entire presentations before you finish a cup of coffee. But none of them can deliver the one thing communication truly requires: emotion. Emotion cannot be automated. It cannot be manufactured by code. It must be transferred from one human being to another. And it can only be transferred through someone who understands how to communicate with presence, with honesty, and with purpose. Think about someone who moved you, not impressed you, not entertained you, but truly moved you. It was not the vocabulary that reached you. It was not the structure of the sentences. It was the feeling behind the words. Steve Jobs could walk on stage, speak a single line, and hold the entire room in silence. He was not trying to sound intelligent. He was creating belonging. Oprah could make millions feel understood without saying anything extraordinary. She simply spoke with a level of emotional truth that made people feel seen. That is the power of communication. When done correctly, it makes strangers trust you, it makes ideas believable, and it turns simple messages into movements. Most people communicate from their mind. Great communicators communicate from their center, from the place inside that is anchored, grounded, and clear. That is why they get investors. That is why teams follow them. That is why opportunities find them. Communication is not an accessory to success. It is the bridge between your potential and the world's recognition of it. If your bridge is weak, your ideas fall into the river. If your bridge is strong, your ideas cross into reality. In 2026, attention is the currency every business fights for. People do not lack information, they lack meaning, they lack connection, they lack the feeling of being understood in a world moving too quickly to care about them. So when someone speaks with intention, when someone speaks with clarity and sincerity, it stands out. It cuts through the noise. It demands attention without forcing it. To communicate well, you must first let go of the urge to impress. The moment you try to sound important, you lose the very power that makes communication work: authenticity. People can sense pretense instantly. They can hear insecurity hiding behind big words. The world does not want to be impressed. It wants to be understood. And it wants to understand you. Speak simply, not because you are simple, but because simplicity is precision. The most powerful leaders in history used the fewest words possible. They did not decorate, they delivered. The second foundation of powerful communication is listening.
Not the superficial kind, but the kind where you stop rehearsing your reply and start absorbing what the other person means beneath the surface. Most people listen only to argue or respond. Communicators listen to understand. When you understand someone's fears, their desires, their frustrations, and their hopes, your words naturally align with what their heart is already searching for. Communication becomes translation. You translate your idea into their language, their emotions, their needs. And then there is storytelling, the most ancient and effective communication tool humans have ever created. Stories bypass logic and go directly into memory. They make people feel what you want them to feel without telling them to feel it. Facts inform the mind. Stories transform the person. You may forget a statistic, but you will never forget a story that hit you in the right place at the right time. Tone is another kind of language, one that machines will never fully master. Two people can say the exact same sentence, yet one creates trust while the other creates tension. Confidence does not need volume, it needs steadiness. Calm, grounded energy communicates strength more powerfully than force ever could. And above all, honesty outranks every other technique. In a world full of filters, fake lifestyles, and performed confidence, authenticity is magnetic. People follow voices that feel real. They open up to communicators who speak truth with kindness. They invest in leaders who speak clearly and show who they are without pretending. Communication is not about talking. It is about creating movement inside another mind. Those who master it will always have an advantage in leadership, in business, in relationships, and in every opportunity the future offers. Because in a world where machines do everything except feel, the person who can move hearts will never be replaced. There is a moment in everyone's life when the world suddenly shifts, quietly, brutally, without asking permission, a moment when what used to work stops working, when familiar patterns collapse, when the rules you were taught no longer apply. In 2026, that moment isn't a single event. It is the reality of every month, every trend cycle, every piece of technology released into the world. The people who rise are not the strongest, nor the most prepared, but the ones who adapt the fastest. Adaptability is no longer an advantage. It is the price of survival. The world does not slow down to give you time to adjust. It does not care if you are scared, uncertain, unprepared, or inexperienced. Opportunity doesn't wait for your confidence to catch up. It comes to those who move first, learn quickly, and adjust faster than life can overwhelm them. Consider the companies that survived the last decade. Netflix wasn't built on brilliance. It was built on responsiveness. When DVDs began dying, they didn't defend the past. They embraced the future. When streaming became saturated, they reinvented themselves again with original content. Every shift forced them to make a choice, evolve or dissolve. They chose to evolve. In the creator world, trends rise and fall at frightening speed. One year, long-form videos dominate. The next year, short videos explode. The month after that, no one knows what's working anymore. But the creators who succeed are the ones who treat change as a signal, not a threat. They don't complain. They experiment. They don't hold on to old strategies. They build new ones before the old ones collapse. Adaptation is not an occasional action. It is a lifestyle. And yet, the biggest barrier to adaptation is not technology. It is ego. People resist change not because it is difficult, but because it forces them to admit they don't know everything. Many talented individuals fail for one tragic reason. They refuse to update themselves. They cling to outdated skills, outdated habits, outdated identities, hoping the world will eventually return to the way it was. But the world never moves backward. It only accelerates forward. Adaptation requires humility, the willingness to remain a student even when you think you should be the teacher. It requires curiosity, the desire to explore new paths even when the old ones still work good enough. And most of all, it requires courage, the courage to begin before you feel prepared. Every breakthrough is born from someone who started too early, too imperfectly, but refused to stay stuck. Yet there is a second force just as important as adaptation. It is the quiet, invisible strength that determines whether you rise or break under pressure. Emotional control. In a world where chaos is constant and uncertainty is normal, your emotional stability becomes your strategic advantage. Two people can face the same problem. One collapses, the other becomes stronger. The difference is not intelligence, it is regulation. When markets dip, when plans fail, when unexpected obstacles hit you from behind, your emotions will try to take control. They will push you to react quickly, impulsively, irrationally. Panic destroys more dreams than failure ever will, because panic makes you act as if the temporary moment defines your entire future. Calm, on the other hand, is a superpower. Calm allows you to think when others are drowning in their own thoughts. Calm allows you to choose your response instead of being controlled by it. Look at the most successful leaders in moments of crisis. They are not frantic. They are not emotional. Their stability becomes the anchor for everyone around them. Companies grow under calm leadership because calm creates clarity, and clarity makes good decisions possible. Even in your personal life, emotional control determines your trajectory more than talent ever will. One insult, one rejection, one failed attempt, any of these can destroy your person's motivation if they do not know how to manage their inner world. Emotional strength is built in the small, unseen moments. When something goes wrong and you breathe instead of breaking. When someone provokes you and you pause instead of reacting. When life disappoints you and you keep moving instead of shutting down. Emotional discipline is not about suppressing feelings. It is about mastering them, training your mind to remain steady while the world around you shakes. And when adaptability meets emotional control, something powerful happens. You become the kind of person who can not only survive uncertainty, but thrive in it. You learn quickly because your ego is silent. You move decisively because your fear is quiet. You rise above chaos because your emotions are calm. The world rewards those who evolve, but it respects those who stay composed while evolving. In 2026, the combination of rapid adaptability and unshakable emotional stability is a formula that few possess, but everyone admires. If you cultivate these two skills, opportunities will naturally gravitate towards you, not because you chase them, but because you become the type of person who can hold them without breaking. Because the future does not belong to the fearless. It belongs to the emotionally steady. It belongs to the adaptable. It belongs to the ones who continue evolving long after everyone else has given up. There comes a point in every person's journey where the difference between who they are and who they could become is not knowledge, not opportunity, not intelligence, but a single decision, the decision to move. Action has always been the dividing line between the dreamers and the doers. But in 2026, that line is sharper than ever. The world is accelerating faster than human hesitation, and the price of waiting, even for a moment, is becoming unbearably high. Most people are not defeated by failure. They are defeated long before failure arrives. They are defeated by hesitation, by overthinking, by the illusion that tomorrow will offer a clearer sky, a calmer mind, a better chance. They rehearse the same intentions for years, telling themselves they will act when their confidence increases, when their finances improve, when their plan feels perfect, when the timing is finally right. But the world does not reward intention. It rewards movement. The truth is uncomfortable but liberating once understood. Readiness is a myth. Confidence is a myth. The perfect moment is a myth. Every person you admire began before they felt prepared. Every company you respect began before the founder knew what they were doing. Every breakthrough in history came from someone standing in the middle of uncertainty, choosing to act anyway. Amazon was born in a garage with more ambition than resources. Instagram started as a glitchy side project that barely worked. Spanx began with a woman who didn't have experience, capital, or approval, just the courage to begin while imperfect. The world rarely opens doors for those who wait. It opens doors for those who knock. And sometimes it opens doors only after you turn the handle yourself. Action creates momentum, and momentum creates clarity. You do not take action because you understand everything. You take action so you can begin to understand anything at all. Confidence is not the fuel of action. It is the result of action. People think, when I feel ready, I'll start. But reality whispers back, start and readiness will follow. In 2026, this has never been more true. The speed of innovation has outgrown the luxury of hesitation. Opportunities are becoming more fluid, more dynamic, and more competitive. Those who pause for perfection will be outrun by those who move with imperfection. The doers are not always smarter. They are simply braver for a few minutes longer. They're the ones who say yes while everyone else is still calculating. They're the ones who launch version 1 while others are polishing version none. They're the ones who learn through motion instead of imagination. There's a subtle but powerful shift that happens the moment you choose action over fear. Your mind expands, your world expands, your sense of self changes. You no longer see yourself as someone waiting for permission. You become someone capable of creating direction. That psychological shift is the true reward of action. Not success, not money, not recognition. Those may come later, but the first prize is identity. Action transforms who you believe yourself to be. And once you start becoming a person of action, everything around you reorganizes. New opportunities appear, new people show up, new paths open. Life responds differently to someone who moves with intention. It is almost as if the world has been waiting for you to take the first step before it decides to take the next 12 on your behalf. This is why the final and most dangerous skill in 2026 is the ability to act without waiting for ideal conditions. Because ideal conditions never arrive. They exist only in imagination. Life is noisy, life is messy, life is unpredictable. And inside that unpredictability lies your opening, not after it, inside it. When you combine the ability to act with the ability to notice what others ignore, to communicate in a way that moves people, to adapt faster than circumstances, and to stay emotionally steady under pressure, you become someone the future cannot drown out. You become the kind of person who shakes the world instead of reacting to it, a force of motion in a world full of hesitation. There's a quiet truth hidden inside every success story. Nobody felt ready. Not once. They simply moved. And that movement, awkward, imperfect, vulnerable, courageous, is the reason you know their names today. The world remembers the ones who stepped forward, not the ones who stood still. In the end, the future does not belong to the talented, the lucky, or the chosen. It belongs to the ones who act. And when you act, especially when you don't feel ready, you become unstoppable. In the end, everything we explored leads to a single defining truth. The future is not something that happens to you. It is something shaped by your awareness, your communication, your adaptability, your emotional steadiness, and your willingness to act long before you feel ready. We are entering an era where ordinary habits no longer produce extraordinary outcomes, where waiting becomes more dangerous than trying, and where the world rewards those who respond instead of react, observe instead of overlook, move instead of freeze. The 5 human skills are not simply strategies for success. They are a new form of intelligence, one that machines cannot replicate, one that time cannot erode, and one that will determine who flourishes in 2026 and who gets pulled backward by the speed of change. These skills reinforce one another. Awareness opens your eyes to hidden opportunities. Communication builds the bridges that carry your ideas forward. Adaptability keeps you relevant.
Emotional control keeps you grounded when everything else is shaking. And decisive action transforms all of that potential into real results. When practiced together, these skills create a momentum in your life that becomes almost unstoppable because you are no longer waiting for the world to shift in your favor. You are shifting yourself in alignment with the world. The deeper lesson here is simple yet profound. Your future rises or falls on the habits you build today. If you plant awareness, clarity will grow. If you plant action, results will grow. And if you plant emotional discipline, stability will grow. To apply this right now, choose one small action today that your future self will thank you for. One uncomfortable decision, one courageous step, one moment of awareness you would normally ignore. The transformation begins there. Before you go, let me ask you one simple question. Which of these 5 skills do you feel you need to strengthen most right now? Please share your answer in the comments so others can learn from your perspective. And if you found value in this message, kindly subscribe to the channel to support our journey and help us create more meaningful content ahead.